On March 24, 2010, Audreanna Zimmermann, a 19-year-old girl from Escambia County, Florida, was brutally killed by her neighbors. Having been beaten with a crowbar, shocked with a stun gun, and set on fire by Tina Brown, her 16-year-old daughter Brittany Miller, and their friend Heather Lee. Cruelly enough, Audreanna stayed alive for multiple days after the murder attempts and was able to help police solve the case she was a victim in. Whether she actually lived on after all, however, is the question you'll get an answer to later on in this video. Before we dive deeper into the rest of this horrifying story, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you're interested in watching more of our videos. Also, hang on till the end of this video to not miss any important information. Now, let's really get started. The beginning. In a mobile home park located in Escambia County, Tina Brown, her 16-year-old daughter Brittany Miller, Brittany's friend Heather Lee, and our victim Audreanna Zimmermann, 19, lived in neighboring trailers. The four women initially were close friends, but Tina, Brittany, and Audreanna's relationship was volatile and frequently turned into violence. Audreanna was once accused of slashing Tina's tires, after which Tina reportedly broke Audreanna's car window. Later on, Tina's partner was arrested, and Tina herself was reported to Florida DCF for failing to give her children the proper care. After finding out that Audreanna was having sex with her boyfriend, Brittany once tried to hit Audreanna. In an effort to protect herself, Audreanna used a stun gun to disable Brittany. Later that day, Heather informed Tina that Audreanna had used a stun gun on her daughter Brittany, to which Tina responded that she was going to get revenge. The murder. Pretending to want to re-establish their friendship, Tina invited Audreanna to her house on March 24th. Tina, Brittany, Heather, and Brittany's friend Mallory Azriel were inside the trailer before Audreanna arrived. Heather was teaching Tina how to properly use a stun gun as they were in the kitchen. Brittany took her friend Mallory aside and told her their actual plan was to kill Audreanna. She forced her friend to keep it a secret, or she'd be killed too. Shortly after 9 p.m., Audreanna knocked on the door and entered the trailer. 5 minutes after she arrived, Tina began to attack Audreanna in the kitchen with the stun gun. She continued to use it even after Audreanna had already lost control of her muscles and fell to the ground while yelling and asking for help. After some time, Tina dragged Audreanna into a bathroom across the trailer. As Audreanna screamed and begged for help, Heather stuck a sock into her mouth to keep her quiet, and Brittany struck her in the face. After that, Tina dragged Audreanna outside and forced her into the trunk of her car while holding the victim's hands behind her back. Then Tina, Brittany, and Heather got in too and started the car. The women drove to a clearing in the woods about a mile from the trailer park. Tina got out of the car and retrieved Audreanna from the trunk. When Audreanna tried to run away, Tina and Brittany caught her. Audreanna was attacked while being wrestled to the ground by the two women. Tina used the stun gun again on Audreanna as Brittany beat her with a crowbar. After that, Tina and Brittany changed weapons and continued to beat and abuse Audreanna. Tina then went back to the car, got a can of gasoline out of the trunk, and went back to the beaten but still conscious Audreanna. She poured her with gasoline, took a lighter from her pocket, lit Audreanna on fire, and then stood by to watch her scream as she burned. According to Heather's testimony, Brittany was shouting "Burn, bitch, burn" when she was standing next to her. The three women got in the car and started driving after a short while. Brittany informed her mother that she had to turn around since she had forgotten her shoes and taser on the way home. Tina, however, refused to go back. Terrence Hendrick, a witness who was outside his home, located approximately 1/3 of a mile away from the location of the attack, reportedly heard a faint female voice pleading for help. He eventually noticed Audreanna trying to make her way toward his home. When she reached Terrence's house, she asked for help and sat on the front steps. Terrence saw that she had a serious head wound, didn't appear to be dressed, and smelled strongly of gasoline, so he immediately took action and called 911. Findings of emergency medical technicians. An emergency team arrived on the site at about 9:20 p.m. When they approached Audreanna, they observed her sitting on the porch rocking back and forth with her arms stretched out, moaning and asking for help. The team had no idea if Audreanna was wearing clothes because of the severity of her burns. Over 90% of her body was burned. Her jaw had been broken or severely dislocated, and she suffered from head trauma. The extent and the severity of the burns had prevented witness Hendrik from providing Audreanna with medical assistance. In his testimony, he stated that while he frequently applied sterile gauze and oxygen to burns, he was unable to cover her entire body. Audreanna was conscious and alert despite her injuries. She told the medical team that Tina, Heather, and Brittany were her attackers and that they had taken her outside, tased her, hit her in the head with a crowbar, and then set her on fire. In addition, she gave the medicals her children's address as well as the addresses of her attackers. The ambulance arrived within a few minutes and transported Audreanna to the hospital. After having been stabilized at a neighborhood hospital, Audreanna was moved to the University of South Alabama Hospital's burn center in Mobile, Alabama. Despite the efforts to save her, Audreanna sadly passed away 16 days later. After the murder, at the scene of the burn-in, law enforcement officers discovered several pieces of evidence, including a pair of white shoes, a stun gun with blood on the handle, paper stained with blood, a crowbar, hair weaves, and a pool of blood. Tina and Brittany had taken off their blood-stained clothing and put it in a garbage bag when they and Heather arrived back at Tina's trailer. Also, Heather took off her blood-stained shoes and placed them in the bag. When the incident was over, Brittany told her friend Mallory, who was still at the trailer, that she had broken her hand striking Audreanna, and that the three other women had set Audreanna on fire. Brittany and her friend then used Tina's car to drive to the hospital to get medical care for Brittany. They cleaned the blood in Tina's car with hand sanitizer and soap while at the hospital, threw away the bag of blood-stained clothes in a dumpster, and made an effort to wipe the blood spots inside Tina's car. Soon after the incident, police caught Tina and Heather using the information Audreanna had given them. The following day, when Brittany had left the hospital, she too was taken into custody. Deputy Tyree noticed that Tina's hair weave matched the weave that had been discovered at the site, and that some of her hair on the back of her head looked to be missing. Heather claimed she was at home all night cooking and denied any involvement. While Audreanna was in the hospital, the other three women were discharged. Police seized Tina's red Hyundai SUV that was parked at her house on March 26th. DNA from the blood found on the passenger's headrest matched Audreanna's blood. Tina's DNA matched DNA from a red stain on the handle of the stun gun, and DNA on the white shoes matched Brittany's. The crowbar had Audreanna's DNA on both ends. On the day of Audreanna's death, April 9, 2010, Tina, Brittany, and Heather were arrested again. On the 21st of June 2012, a jury convicted Tina of first-degree murder of Audreanna Zimmermann. A couple of days later, the jury recommended a death sentence by unanimous vote. Audreanna died a horrific death, and I was one of those who helped take her life, Tina claimed in a statement she made to the victim's family. Heather Lee was charged with second-degree murder and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Brittany Miller was sentenced to life without parole. On September 28, 2012, Tina Brown was given a death sentence by the trial court for the murder of Audreanna Zimmermann. This brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about this horrifying story. We hope to see you again at one of our other interesting videos.